Hi boys and girls. I'm really excited to read this Jan Brett book to you today, hoping that this setup will give you a little bit more of a view of the book. It's a little hard to get it set up perfectly here at home, and hopefully I can finish reading this book because I don't know why, but I've been really tired. This story is another Jan Brett story, and it's about a little girl who ends up feeding some wild animals during the winter. She has a cat though, and her cat goes missing. You'll notice that in the border of this story, there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's called Annie and the Wild Animals. I think this is one of my favorites, and not as much about the story that's happening in the middle, but I love the story that's happening in the borders. I just think it's neat. I also really like the designs around the borders. If you look, just very festive and very pretty. You know, a lot of times after reading Jan Brett books, my students will actually try to use some of her picture drawing strategies with the borders in their own writing, which is very cool. It had been snowing for days. Winter was lasting too long. Well, winter just is starting to get here. It hasn't even officially started, and I'm already over it. But there's the little girl and her kitty cat. Something was wrong with Annie's cat. Taffy had stopped playing. She ate more than usual. She slept all day long. Annie found her curled up in strange places. So if you look around the border, you can see some of where she was curled up or the food that she was getting into. It's funny because of these corner pieces, they've been made to look like carved wood. And then some of them look like actual pictures. And I love the designs that Jan Brett uses. Looks like tiles and the little hearts. Her books are very beautiful and creative. One morning, Annie could not find Taffy anywhere. She looked and looked, but Taffy was gone. Annie was very lonely. I need a new friend, thought Annie. So do you see Taffy? I feel sorry for Annie. Look where Taffy's going. You get that snowflake in the corner. She placed a corn cake at the edge of the wood. She imagined that a small furry animal would come and she would tame him for a pet. Look at the picture. I see a lot of moose. You can tell they're moose by their antlers. They're different from a deer's. And there's Taffy. Do you think something will come for the corn cake? The next morning, the corn cake was gone. In its place stood a giant moose. He's too big to tame, thought Annie. I'll have to try again. That night, Annie left another corn cake at the edge of the wood. Now that we've read this book a few pages and you see the pictures, are you able to make any predictions about what might happen next? Does your schema for the book help you come up with some ideas? The next morning, the moose was back and a snarling wildcat was there too. He's too mean to tame, thought Annie. Annie placed more corn cakes at the edge of the wood. So if your prediction was correct, do you have a new prediction for the next page? Also, there's Taffy. Look, the bear smells the corn cake. And how lucky, because there's Taffy right there. So that corn cake helped Taffy, didn't it? It distracted the bear. The next morning, a big growling bear was there with the moose and the wildcat. Now, the border pictures are going to change. And I want you to look really closely to see what's going on, okay? Can you see? What happened to Taffy? Why do you think she was eating so much and looking for a place? Can you see that picture? What's she doing? Annie's not having much luck finding a new pet, is she? He's too grumpy for a pet, thought Annie. Annie made as many corn cakes as she could and left them at the edge of the wood. You see the smell reaching the deer? Oh, and then you have some wolves smelling the corn cakes. And then there's Taffy in the tree. So what happened with Taffy? At dawn, Annie heard the snarls and growls of the wild animals. There was the moose and the wildcat and the bear. They had been joined by a stag, his family, and a large gray wolf. Not one of them is soft and friendly like Taffy, thought Annie. Now, stag is another word for a boy deer who have the antlers. So here you can see all the pictures around. And there's the stag and the deer. All the next day, Annie made corn cakes and left them at the edge of the wood. All night long, she heard the sounds of the wild animals eating the corn cakes. Annie woke to find a great nose stuck through her window. Just a second, sorry. Tinky. Tinker. Sorry, the hard part about being home is the kitty cat wants to get on things. Annie awoke to find a great nose stuck through her window. It belonged to the moose, who was still hungry. You see what's going on with Taffy, and there's birds. You know, this is a robin here. And they say when a robin comes, it's the first sign of spring. And you can notice what's happening with the snow now. Now I'm already looking forward to that. And look at Taffy. There were wild animals everywhere. They roared for their next meal. The little house shook. The animals wanted more corn cakes, but when Annie looked into the barrel of cornmeal, it was empty. She couldn't make any more corn cakes. Annie was very sad. She would never find a pet now. She missed Taffy very much. Oh, I understand that. All that night, a warm breeze flew from the south. Hey, remember the south is warmer. The snow melted and new buds could be seen on the plants and trees. The wood was coming alive again. By the next morning, the wild animals had gone back to the wood. They would find food there now that spring had finally come. Oh, I'm jealous. I wish spring were here already. You remember how we talked about animals have to adapt. It's hard for them in the winter to find food. Then, as unexpected as the warm spring breeze, Taffy walked proudly into the yard. "Taffy," Annie exclaimed, "you have come home. Where have you been?" Taffy turned and looked back the way she had come. Now what's she looking for? Notice that around the edges there are lots of spring flowers now. Out of the woods came 3 soft, friendly kittens. Annie would not be lonely anymore. I bet that was pretty exciting for Annie. You know, as Annie was feeding these wild animals, it really did make me think about animals in the winter and how challenging it is. One thing that I really like to do at my house in the winter is I like to put out a bird feeder. It's a little tricky because I do have cats that go outside. And so, even though in the winter my cats are more inside than outside, they are a bit dangerous for the birds. But I do like to feed them anyway. So this year I'm going to be looking for a location where I think they'll be able to eat more safely and the cats will not bother them as much. So it might be a little further away from the house. But I thought today, maybe you could look into your box of recycling and can you come up with a way to feed the birds? You know, we have bird feeders. You might see them in stores. Maybe your family owns one or 2 or more. But can you come up with an idea for a new type of bird feeder? Tomorrow I'm going to share with you some ideas for how you could feed the birds if you choose to do so. And I was wondering if you guys could take today to use your little design brains, the part of your brain that comes up with new ideas, to think of a way to create your own bird feeder. Now remember, it's something that would have to be outside. So it would either need to be able to stand up to the winter weather or be temporary, meaning something that just kind of lasts for a little bit and then it's done. But I'd like you to do some thinking around that. There are all kinds of problems that come with bird feeders. You know, like squirrels will come and eat your food or raccoons. Can you design something that would maybe be squirrel proof or raccoon proof? Do you have some ideas that might keep the birds safe from cats? Just something to think about. If you can think of an idea, why don't you spend a little time today creating it? I'm sure the birds will appreciate that and they will thank you for it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.